Let's talk about what's happening this fall and how whatever seeds you planted back there in the spring, you should be seeing the harvest right now. There's expectations that God has for us, and there's signs to let you know that you're in the flow, that you're not going against the grain, you're not going against the flow, you're not going against the season, but that you're actually here receiving what it is that you've sown back there in spring. Now, let me say this first before we dive into this. If you've sown seeds back there in the spring, let's say hypothetically they were, you want your relationship to get better. Let's say you want to draw in genuine friendships, or you want to increase your money, or you want to bring in more peace or joy into your life, or you want to change the way you eat. Those are all seeds. And if you thought about those things, made any moves back in the springtime with those seeds, if you put them seeds in the ground and you nurtured them, you should be seeing the harvest right now, this fall. But now let's go back real quick, because this is what I want to make clear first. If you plant seeds in the spring, and let's say you planted those springs or some of them or whatever you planted in the spring, and you walked away from it. You were like, this is what I want, but you walked away. Let's think about this logically, okay? If you put a seed in the ground saying you want to eat better, you could write it on a notebook, you could speak it, but that's your seed, okay? That's considered a planted seed. But you walked away and did not put in any effort, did not join a workout plan, did not join a community where you could get support, did not start going on that walk, or didn't start doing 20 minutes or even 10 minutes of a workout, and did not empty out all the junk in your cabinets, and you continue to eat the way that you were eating that caused you to want to change, then that is considered abandonment. That is neglect. So you put a seed in the ground, you started the process. Okay, you started the process of creation by speaking it. You put that seed in the ground. But what you do with any other seed, you've got to go back and you've got to water it. You have to feed it. You have to protect it from other animals coming around and nibbling it out of the ground the second it sprouts. So if you planted the seed, but you neglected it by not showing up and maintaining it and feeding it and protecting it, then that seed that you planted back in spring has not shown up this harvest. Or if you gave it a little bit of attention, you might see something like small, like, oh, I lost 2 ounces. Or, I stopped drinking soda, which is a big thing, right? But you may have wanted something bigger based off of whatever vision you had that caused you to plant back in spring. You have to abide by spiritual law. If you do not abide by spiritual law, just like if you don't abide by the physical laws of this world, then you have to suffer the consequences. But if you abide by the law and you flow with the seasons, because everything spiritual is done in cycles and season. So if you flow with the season and do what God is calling you to do to nurture that seed, then you are reaping a good harvest right now this fall. Spring is considered the seed time, okay? I want you all to go read Genesis. Was it 8:22? I want you to read Genesis. I think it's 8:22. Let me see me write this. Yeah, read Genesis 8:22. While the earth remains seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. So God is speaking about the seasons. The creation of life all flows with seasons. Nothing you can do about it. That's natural. That is truth. That is definite. You must honor, because you see them every day, honor the seasons and flow. Now, your harvest that you've planted in seed time should be appearing now, but it does not show up if you didn't plant anything. That harvest is earned in that process. So I don't want nobody like, oh, well, I wanted this, that. You can want, wish, and hope and speak it out loud all you want. If you are not doing what you are called to do to maintain that seed, the very thing that you want to bring into manifestation, then it's not going to come about. Okay? What's that saying? A closed mouth don't get fed, lazy, whatever. Just if you're lazy about it, you're not going to see the reaping of it. Okay? You reap what you sow, but you got to, there's a step in between that we're missing. You don't just put the seed in the ground. You don't just say, I want to be this or I want that. There is a whole process that happens in between reaping and sowing and reaping. Now let's talk about that. And then I'm going to break down how you know you're in the season of harvest. First, let's talk about what God expects us to do after we put that seed in the ground, okay? So after you've written it down, after you've spoken it into existence, here's what you should be doing. God expects us to have stewardship over that seed. Now, let's clearly define what stewardship means. It is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted in your care. Your manifestation, the very thing that you want to bring about, that is your responsibility. That becomes like your child. That becomes like your newborn. And you are now trusted to care for it and to maintain it. So we don't put seeds in the ground that we're not later going to show up and water and feed and build a little fence around to protect it. We don't just put it there and forget about it. We're missing these steps. And this is why a lot of you are not reaping the harvest, because you're sowing things, but you're not maintaining them in the process. Now, the next thing that God expects us to do is use wisdom. And let's break down exactly what that is. That is to use knowledge, okay? That is to use experience, understanding, and good judgment to make decisions based on the very thing that you have, the very seed, the very thing you're trying to manifest, the very thing you're trying to put in the ground. Now, after you are also stewarding this, you have to make sure that you're using wisdom when it comes to taking care of it. You shouldn't speak about it to people with energy that can't respect it or don't have the vision. You should keep it to yourself. And how you go about caring for it is going to take knowledge. It's going to take your experiences, because it's like, you know what? The last time I tried to manifest something, the last time I tried to bring forth a harvest, I made a mistake doing this, or I should have been doing X, Y, Z. From those experiences, you gain wisdom. Okay. And from that wisdom, you gain understanding, because you can clearly, yeah, I understand why it didn't work last time. You got to humble yourself to really keep it real with yourself, to say it wasn't nobody else's fault. It was my fault. And because I've done this before and I didn't harvest anything because I neglected it, or I wasn't doing what was expected of me to care for it, it didn't come about. So I'm not going to put that burden on someone else. I'm going to understand that I have the power to bring that forth. So now I have to use wisdom based off of my experiences of the past to know how to deal with this better than what I did before. Because doing the same thing over and over is insanity. And insanity does not bring forth a good harvest. And then we have to be consistent, okay? Be consistent, because consistency and discipline, I swear, those are the keys to all things being successful in your life. And you want to be humble. Leave your arrogance behind and make sure that you're creating good boundaries, good fences around the very thing that you're going to manifest. And if you are the protector of that very seed that you put in the ground, you need to have boundaries around you and your energy while that seed is growing, so nothing is piercing your energetic field, because it can then get to the very thing that you planted. So now if you're in the season of harvest, you have ease, you have flow, you have people showing up to support you, you have favor, you have resources popping up. Those are signs that you are in the season of harvest. So be blessed, be thankful, document this journey, and do it again. But do it all in God's will, because, man, it's just so much easier when you flow with the Creator about everything that the Creator has created. Stick in there with the seasons, and make sure you follow me here for more teaching.